Hi there, my name is Will, and I'm going to show you how you can manually pause your executions in Kestra. In Kestra 0.20, we've added the ability to pause your executions manually. Previously, you could do it with a dedicated task, but now you'll be able to pause them manually, especially useful if you're waiting to spin up a server that maybe you forgot to turn on, or some other external service that is required for your workflow to be successful. I'm going to demonstrate that with this example here. Now, I've got a log task here before. I have a sleep task here that's going to sleep for 10 seconds, and then I have a log task after. So this should help us be able to see where the pause has happened. We can use this dedicated sleep task rather than having to run like a sleep inside of a shell commands task, and we can specify the duration here. Now, when I press execute, we'll see that it's going to run our log task, and then it's going to wait here. And when I go over to overview, we get this nice pause button now. And when I press this, we'll see in the Gantt chart that it's going to continue to run the task that was running, but it will now pause from this point onwards. So when it says pause execution, it's going to pause after that task has finished. Some tasks will not be able to pause very nicely. So that is the expected behavior. But as you can see, that final task is just waiting until I press resume. And now if I go back here and press resume, we'll see that in the topology view, it's now running that, and we can see here, it did run it. And so our whole workflow in the end took 37 seconds. But the reality is if I execute this in one go, it should take no more than just over 10 seconds. And as we can see, this took 12 seconds to run it without any manual pauses. Previously, you would have had to add this manual pause task because that's probably the best way to visualize what's going on here. When I press pause when this task is running, it's effectively like we've told it to pause in the gap in between. So now if I execute this, we can see that it's waiting 10 seconds, but it will hit our pause task in a second where that will then stop it from running the log after until I manually resume it. The benefit here is now you don't have to add that pause task directly to your workflow. You can do that on the go because some workflows don't need a pause task, but you might run yourself into a situation where, I forgot to spin up my instance. It's going to try and connect to it via SSH and it's going to fail. I don't want to have to cancel my workflow because it's already spent ages processing some data and I want to be able to upload that data to the end destination, but it's not ready. Don't worry, you can pause your workflow, you can go and get your system running, and then you can resume it. And as we can see here, I'm at the pause task, I can press resume, and it's going to then finish pretty quickly. And we can see that pause task took quite a while. So hopefully that gives you an idea of the behavior and how this differs to the pause task versus just pressing pause manually. But this gives you a flexibility to manage it. Now, another thing to bear in mind is if you do have a workflow that is running for ages and then you get to a point where you know it's going to fail or it's going to have unexpected behavior because of something wasn't configured correctly, then you can also use the replay option to be able to replay a workflow from a certain point where you can replay an execution from a certain point. So if you've got 3 tasks before, I want to run it after the 10-second pause here. I can go over here to the log after, I can press replay, and I can use a newer revision of the code. So this makes it easy as well. So you kind of got 2 options here. If you know that you just need to quickly pause and you know that it's not going to take you very long to spin up your system, then the pause is really handy because it will finish the task that it was doing, but it won't start that next one, which is the one that you need your external system to be running or a different configuration to be set up until you're ready to press go. Whereas revisions is really useful if it has already failed, you didn't realize it was down, and then you can restart it from that point without having to rerun your whole execution. Hopefully you found that useful and you're going to start using manual pauses inside of Kestra. Let us know in the comments what you think and what you would like to see in the future. Make sure to join our Slack community and make sure to give us a star on GitHub.